Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Hi guys, Phil here. Putting out an audio-only episode this week. This is from our live podcast that we did at CHFA East this past weekend. You can hear it from my voice. I wound up getting sick at the show, so I sound a little funny, but just wanted to call it out that it's a live ahead of time. It's going to be a little crackly. You're going to hear, some of the folks kind of like fade in and out, and then you hear actually quite a few voices in the background because we had an audience in the room who interacted with us and spent, quite a bit of quality time with us, which we really appreciated. So I just wanted to call that out early because this is it's a live podcast, so you'll hear a market difference in the production quality. But wanted to, say our appreciation for CHFA and Aaron Skelton and Lindsay Walker in particular and their crew for giving us a chance to podcast live. And then, you're going to hear some wonderful voices on here. Bruce Singer is on here. Kyle Marsham. I just want to say that and I'll call it when we get there, but Kyle Marsham's portion is edited because the mic he was using wasn't working at the time, so we moved him. But you'll get a chance to hear his full story coming up in the next coming weeks. But Kyle Marsham is on here. Our friend Sasha, who runs Poco Chips, comes on. And then finally, Kelsey Reidl, who is another Canadian retail podcast OG podcast host, comes on at the end. So just some wonderful guests that we're all live and impromptu, and us, not very prepared. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Apologize in advance for kind of the voices and the consistency.
That's awesome.
Yeah, can I get a picture, do a selfie with you guys? All right?
Yeah,
Really?
Of course.
Wow.
Nobody ever asked us that, but
Yeah, even my kids don't want selfies with me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
yeah, no worries, thanks.
If you want to take a
Oh, yeah,
selfie,
yeah.
sure. That's kind of worrisome. No, that's all good, I guess. Sure, why not? By the way, don't do a landscape.
You got me. That's good enough.
Well, it's probably better than
Flip it the other
do a
way.
landscape.
It'll be fine. Yes.
Well, you have to get credit. You have to get credit for the photo shoot,
Attribution is
right?
important.
I'm gonna take one with you. You're not forgotten.
I know it's a very jam-packed.
We're gonna get so proud of it lately.
We should probably start, right?
I don't know. What time is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
one.
we should go.
It's one. Yeah, poor Kelly coming after us. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's all good. Does this work?
So welcome to This Commerce Life. We're recording live from CHFA, and this is weird for us because we're doing it live. There are people
Yeah,
in the room.
I don't
and-
usually have people looking at me. My family doesn't even pay attention to what I'm doing. Never
Yeah.
mind.
The,
Like people I don't
the
know.
Wives don't listen.
No. My mom
Your
listens.
Mom listens.
My mom
but
listens.
Yeah.
My mom actually listens when she works out or when
Yeah.
works out. My mom does a treadmill or
Yeah.
bicycle or whatever my mom does. So yeah, it's pretty
And
cool.
then, And then now we've gotten a bunch of selfies, so that's kind of cool.
Never had selfies before either. Seriously, I think I've done the 3 selfies in my life.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of my selfie world. So
we have some topics we're going to talk about, but we actually have people in the room. Do you guys want to
Yeah.
come up, say hello? We have extra mics.
there's mics. If you do want to, we're serious. If you do want to talk,
Yeah, no,
you can
seriously.
definitely talk.
Come up, Bruce.
Because otherwise, we'll just talk.
Come and say hello. Yeah, grab a mic.
Grab a mic.
I'd like to be the first one. He'd be the first one. So-
We're the
Just come
first
up and
ones.
say hello.
You're third.
Okay,
So we got Bruce. It's recording already.
Yeah.
So
Grab a seat.
yeah.
Okay.
Grab a
Yeah.
seat.
So we got Bruce here. Bruce is gonna jump in and say hello. Tell us what you do and.
How are you?
Good.
I'm Bruce Singer. I own a company called Canada CFOs, and we place CFOs on an interim basis, contract basis, part-time basis, and our focus is food companies, wellness companies, health companies, CPG, and that sort of space. And I think Phil and his partner are amazing.
No,
They're awesome.
thank you.
They're awesome. They're awesome. Marketing people, they're fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So you place like a fractional CFOs?
Exactly,
Or,
fractional CFO.
and
yeah.
what are we talking like short-term contracts, like a couple weeks to a year,
Well,
or
could
all
be-
over the place?
It could be, it's all over the place because who knows what's going to come up. The need's going to come up. The overall theme is to put in a fractional CFO as an interim solution till the company grows as your
Oh, that's an
point.
awesome
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
That you need a full-time CFO.
Yeah.
That's the overall game plan. And then the fractional CFO moves on and hires the full-time person.
So you're in the space. What do you see? Are you seeing kind of trends happen?
Exactly. There's several types of trends. First, I'll talk about what I see in finance.
Yeah.
Is fundraising.
Yeah.
That seems to be, everybody calls me. That's happened now for the last 6 weeks. Make sure you send me someone that's raised money. So there seems to be a really big trend on.
But it's a tough time to be raising money. Like nobody's putting out cash right now.
I get
right?
it,
Like,
but
you know.
that's what the clients want. In terms of what they're calling me on is fundraising and the usual stuff. Some of them are just in a position where they've gone to that point.
Yeah.
That they need to know what's going on. Like, for example, and I've had this happen where clients, they come back, hey, I just got $1 million deal from Walmart. Okay, sounds great. But when the CFO went in there and analyzed it, it cost them $1.2 million.
Yeah.
They
that
had the wrong
happens.
cost.
Yeah.
So that really blows up.
Yeah.
And the other trend I'm seeing,
So sometimes Kenny and I, we might call you so you can go deliver that news because sometimes we
Exactly.
see that too.
they
And we
spike,
don't want to tell them, like,
they spike their anyways. And sometimes the cost is so small, it could be just a few hours a month. Like, but again, it's having a conversation. The other
Yeah.
trend I'm seeing, not finance, is pet food and non-alcoholic drinks tend to be where a lot of action is right now too. Pet food, there's a lot
Yeah.
going on in pet food.
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
a lot going on
Yeah.
in pet food right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Whereas
Well,
the
pet-
chatter, there's
Pet
chatter.
is like an enormous industry, right? Like, and
It's
it's
huge.
growing
Yeah.
year over year. It's growing faster than any other category, right?
It's
So
unbelievable. CBD.
Yeah.
It's just a very fast.
yeah.
I'm getting a lot of bites.
Are you getting people who are worried about like people that need like do you help a lot of brands with how to kind of protect themselves as things slow down, as costs of goods go up? Kenny and I are seeing that a lot.
Yes.
We seem to help a lot of people with that stuff. So just curious if you're seeing that as well.
I'm seeing that. Even when
Yeah.
it's not a tough time,
Yeah.
it's amazing when you have somebody that can go in from a different point of view and try taking out not just costs,
Yeah.
taking out making things more efficient. And it's incredible when you add up the little dollars. Somebody like a $20 million company could actually be $1 million of inefficient because someone else came in with a different point of view.
Right.
Or you set yourself up for the next wave. So it's to be efficient, but a lot of times just the owner, and again, it depends what stage you're in. We don't know what we don't know. Like you marketing too, companies, the people don't know what they don't know.
Well, I think that's sort of what I was going to get at. So
Yeah.
we do this podcast, I think mostly because we just like to talk. I mean, we talk enough at
It's
home,
true,
and
actually.
we enjoy talking. Probably enjoy hearing each other's voices. One of the things that we do on the side is we also do sort of a fractional CEO, CMO
Yeah.
type of play, right? And I'm curious to see, like in your world, like I know who we're getting. We do get a lot of smaller companies. I think with us, though, I guess where I'm trying to lead this is, I think that a lot of small businesses really don't know what they need because they just don't know what they don't know. Sort of what we talked about. I don't think a lot of them understand what a COO is. So when they hear that, if they go look it up, that's 175 to 225 a year. So right away they're freaked out. I think they hit CFO, they're probably even more freaked out than COO if they even know what the CFO sort of is. Like they get the financial officer, but what does that entail? Like that sounds like I need to be 100 million in sales, not 2 million in
100%,
sales, right?
100%.
So how are you finding how do you message to get people to sort of understand so they'll actually even engage with you?
Okay.
Because that's what I'm finding where in my head, I think that's fundamentally
Yeah.
where we have sort of a
Yeah.
problem, is trying to
Okay.
bridge the
Okay.
understanding.
I'll answer that.
That was long-winded. I
No,
know.
no, I'll answer that. I hope I answered the question properly. I'll answer it two ways. First, there's something called a sweet spot client. Okay? I know intuitively, doing this for 30 years, I know intuitively what client is going to need is going to need a fractional CFO.
Right.
It might, but in terms of the business development, it tends not to be a 1 or 2 man, 3 man operation, but it could be. So I just know. I look and I see 25 people. I get a sense,
Right.
and I can tell they're the ones that are a little more open because they're having issues. You know, so I deal with a sweet spot client. Here's the two I've learned. This is marketing 101. It's called a low point of entry. Okay.
Right.
You know the low point of entry?
Right.
You say to them, look, you don't blow their brains out. You say, look, let's start something small, like a 1 day or 2 day assignment, and see what's really going on.
Yep.
And sometimes they only need somebody 1 or 2 days a week. It's bringing it along slowly. But again, I think the main thing is it's a sweet spot client.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that part. I actually wrote that down because I like that part of it, because I
And-
think that's sort of the trick to
And I'm very close to bringing Phil in as my fractional CMO, because I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
I'm a finance guy. I'm clueless.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's another thing that I think
Clueless.
people need to do a better job understanding, is you need to understand your own limitations. And that's what one
100%.
thing we find is, like, when you talk to a lot of businesses in that, let's say 1 to 20 people, right, where you're running around scattered and you really don't get a chance to know what you don't know because you're just trying to stay afloat. You're just trying to pay the next bill.
Well,
Right?
look at the trends today. There's so much pressure, inflation, and costs and margins. That's another trend, by the way, where the problem is.
Yeah.
You know? And but then you need even more. It's just, hey, it's just the way it is.
a lot
you know?
going
Yeah,
on.
it's a tough time.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's
It's
tough.
a
It's
tough
a good time to do a lot of things though. Like there's a lot of opportunity.
But it's got to come down to
But-
return on investment. They need
Yeah.
to see the return on the investment,
Yeah.
not just issue another check.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it comes down to. It's got to be a return, and you got to explain it. Anyway, you know, it's just sweet spot client.
I like the sweet spot
Yeah.
client.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bruce.
it's very.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty poignant. It's easy peasy. Even I get that.
Okay, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
up
I
you,
to
sir.
appreciate it. Thank you. You guys
Oh,
are awesome.
thank you. That
You
was
guys are
Awesome.
awesome.
Stop by. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah.
Number
Thank
one.
you.
No, it's
And,
good.
Okay.
You gave us an idea of
Thanks.
maybe how to change our world a little bit.
Thank you so much.
One of you two guys want to come up? Come on in, man. Jump in.
This is kind of weird doing it in a room with people.
It's
though. Like,
weird.
it really is.
Well, normally we do Zoom, right? So there's nobody.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's.
And I'm honest. Like when I say my family ignores me on this, like my family completely ignores me. Only my mom listens to the podcast.
Well, my
That's
wife only
it.
wants the T-shirt. So when I put on the T-shirt,
Oh.
she's like, "Where's my?"
I don't even. My wife cares about that.
You don't even. Yeah.
She listened to one episode because she liked the guest because she knew him.
Was it Farda?
And that was it, Farda. And that was it. That was the last time I think she listened to the podcast.
It's one of my favorite podcasts right now, so
Oh,
guys are doing something
thanks,
Oh,
great.
that was nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. So
Jump in, so
let people know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Kyle Marsham.
So this next portion is Kyle Marsham. He did an intro, and he actually has a really quite a nice family backstory. But we unfortunately didn't realize that it didn't catch. It was he was going into a dead mic, so it's just too faded for me to recover here. But the voice you're going to hear is Kyle Marsham, and him catching us up on kind of his career or his career aspirations before he went full retail. But Kyle's coming up on the podcast in a few weeks as well, so you'll get to hear his whole story. Okay, here's Kyle.
Got a acceptance into the UK, and then just looked at how much it was going to cost and talked to some lawyer friends. I'm like, I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't think, right? This is crazy. I'm going to be in debt. I'm going to do this and do that. I don't want to live in the UK. So, and then my dad's like, well, why don't you? There's an opening for a key account manager at Whole Foods because this is at Monica Walker, who's now the head buyer at Healthy Planet, was managing Whole Foods at the time, and she was leaving to explore another opportunity, and that we needed a gap. It was either hire someone or let Monica train Kyle. Right, I was doing some MCB deductions in the background, so I knew a little bit about how to plan and how to manage a client to a certain degree, manage a customer to a certain degree. So then she trained me, mentored me for about 6 months. And then I remember walking into my first category review meeting, Rob Luscombe, who was the buyer at the time, and I'm pitching. I'm so nervous. Monica's like, you better not wear jeans. So I had like, weird dress pants on, like going into Whole Foods. And if anyone's been to the Whole Foods, it's in like a house, right in the Ontario buying. And then, I remember calling my dad after that one as well. And I'm like, I think I just got everything listed. But,
That's awesome.
eight months later, and only half the stuff got listed, but I had some
that's almost like
energy
everything.
going in, right? So, and then now I'm, I started managing Longos and then e-commerce and all that. But yeah, I've loved it since day one.
It's awesome.
That's cool though. Like it's
Yeah,
cool that
that's
you
very
took the family.
Yeah.
And then you just like keep it going. It's I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I like when the family.
Yeah,
I like the family business sort of play to it. That's awesome.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, family dinners, whatever it is we're talking about, new brand opportunities or meetings that are coming up. We're trying to collaborate how to get more retailers in the building or whatever. Right?
So what are you finding this year? So don't forget. I know the standard question is always pre-pandemic and whatever. Go to this year alone, like 2022. What's been the changes even from Jan 1 till now? What are you seeing? What are the pain points, or maybe what are some of the points that have come up as a challenge then and now an opportunity, or whatever you want to call it?
Price increases. If I hear
The
the
daily
word
price increases. You mean.
daily price
Yeah,
increases,
that was one,
second price increase, third price increase, just managing it.
That was February.
And it's managing expectations.
Yeah, it's
right.
control.
The retailer's getting more than what I'm sending to them, right? And understanding that relationship, right? You can't be bombarding them with request after request after request. Like we're only human, right? So it's kind of dealing with that. And then COVID was a blessing to a certain degree, right? It let us focus internally and like look at, because we had more time. We were traveling to the office. It wasn't as fast paced.
Yeah.
So we actually fixed the business, right? It's like, okay, how do we adopt more automation into it? How do we fill some of those gaps in CRMs or data, right? We've scaled up our data team because it seemed like COVID happened and then everyone wanted more data in Canada, especially in our industry. So kind of just, but today, I'd be just managing expectations. There's so much going on. It's like you put a price increase and that brand's got supply chain issues, and then
Or both.
that retailer's upset because there's no product on the shelf, so you got to find her a solution or him a solution, or it's a juggling act. But you just do your best, and remember, at the end of the day, we're only selling food, and we're all humans. At the end of the day, right? So.
Yeah, that usually sounds good.
It's very
doesn't
wise.
necessarily play out well, but it definitely
Try your best.
you try your best to
It's
hang
fun.
on to
It's
it.
fun seeing people in person too, right? Some people are, you can be very straightforward over emails or on the phone or whatever. And then you see them, you have a drink, and it's just like, oh, this is kind of fun again.
I think that's the part that maybe got sort of left behind, is that you do forget that all everybody's trying to do is just feed a family. That's pretty much, you're just, that's what you do work for in a lot of ways. I mean, I love this industry. I love what I do, but it pays bills. It helps feed the family.
Yeah.
And everybody, the person on the other side is just trying to do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And it's been a challenging year for that because, you're saying price increase 1, 2, and 3. Well, that was by February.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're now into September. Like you're on some iterations, you're on your 5th or 6th
Yeah.
price increase. And that doesn't mean that you've passed them along, because I play both sides, right?
Yeah.
I play the retail side. I play the distributor side. I own some brands. So like I'm like top to bottom, I play it. And every week there's something gone sideways. Can't find a container, can't get a container. Container was 15,000, now it's 18,000, right? Price increase. I just had a price increase. Well, it's a new price increase. Well, I haven't even dealt with the old one hasn't even hit yet. And I'm dealing with the next one. Like it's just like every minute there seems to be something new. Can't find staff.
Yeah. That's another
Right?
huge issue.
Like in the stores, et cetera, they can't get a cashier. So you see a lot of management. Like in the old days, in the old days, you just did what you did. That's how we did it.
Yeah.
You don't want to sound like the old days were better, but you just hopped on. Like you hopped on cash, and no matter what you were. And today, there's nobody to hop on, right? So lineups in stores have gotten ugly again.
Yeah, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if it gets better or gets worse short term.
Or something to do things differently, I guess.
Yeah, you got to
figure out how
adapt.
manage it.
Right, you got to adapt.
Yeah.
I listened to the keynote this morning.
That was good this morning.
And he was just, it's like there's challenges in life, and it's
Right.
new things happen, innovation happens. It's adapt and keep moving forward.
I took 5 pages of notes this morning.
Don't be scared about it.
Yeah. He was good. That was good for that, for sure.
You're doing some work with Sasha now?
Yeah. We met over LinkedIn, right? And then I I tried the product. I was like, damn, this
Yeah, it
is
must
be
good.
good, eh?
Poco, if anyone's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, highly addictive.
Yeah.
You know,
Huge
we're
fan.
slowly growing, but Poco is a rice and chickpea with a very, very secret ingredient, asafoetida, and it adds a unique spice that I've fallen in love with. And then we just started becoming good friends, and good friends, good business.
Yeah,
And,
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Well, it's nice to see him doing well too.
I mean, I hopped on with you guys when I was just pre-launch.
Yeah,
I was doing commercial pitching.
yeah.
That's right.
Come up
You can
here.
come and sit
We'll
down.
share a mic.
I have.
That last mic isn't working, but come up here.
You want me to jump down?
Sure.
It's up to you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Nice call.
Yeah, thank you.
What's going on, guys?
Not much. So
Yeah.
you and I met because you reached out on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the hell.
I
you were
think
doing.
you're. Was it to come on the podcast?
Yeah, I think you were
Might
being
have
very forward and forceful, and you wanted to be a guest. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't forceful, but I've only been on one podcast, which was yours. And
Oh, really?
This is my second. Yeah.
Oh, you were good on the podcast. I enjoyed talking to you. You were
I know, but I'm actually a shy person.
really.
Yeah.
So you come on a podcast in a room with people.
Well, you just threw me up here. So
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm here.
we just dragged you up here. So.
Wow, really? I didn't get out of
Yeah.
my seat. You
Not
seemed
too
like you were
bad.
pretty
So-
good. You walked it pretty fast.
Yeah, I know. Well, I had no choice.
Yeah.
So tell us how Poco's doing.
Tell us what it is first.
Yeah, so Poco is a rice and chickpea chip. I like to say Fritos, but better for you. With spices infused from Asia, South Asia. So we have our unique flavor comes from, as Kyle said, something called asafoetida. That's fine. It's an ingredient deck. Asafoetida is
I don't know how to bleed so.
it's a flavor enhancing spice, which is a substitute for garlic and onion for people that can't have, it's a low on the FODMAP, and it smells like the actual spice. It's from an herb from the mountains of Iran and Afghanistan. It's actually Caesar called it the poor man's spice before what's it called Sicil. There was a spice they used to use. But anyways, asafoetida goes
Really?
way back. Yeah, I read about the history.
Huh.
It's really interesting. But anyways, it enhances the flavor, but is also its health benefits now are like, I like to say it's turmeric on steroids. I really do think it's
Wow.
going to become, when people came by the CHFA West show and UNFI show, they're like, people from Asia are like, oh yeah, no, I know. They call it hing back at home. But a lot more people are getting educated about it, and there's some research studies on it, and it's just good for it's an anti-carcinogen, good for memory, good for the list goes on.
Yeah.
But I like to say turmeric on steroids.
Really?
Yeah, so its health benefits are incredible.
Super
how's,
tasty.
How's Poco doing?
Poco's doing well. So I'm with Unify's Up Next program, so I'm growing at my own pace with the cash I have. Working with the Marsham team, which has been incredible, and Green Fresh. We're in 12 accounts, and our same-store velocity is through the roof.
Wow.
But slow but surely.
Yeah.
Depth, not worth it. Go deep, not wide, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
been listening to a lot too. James Richardson?
Yep.
Yeah, so read his book. I'm on the 5th time I'm reading his book. I really call it the Bible.
Okay.
Just read. I'm in no rush. I work a full-time job and I have a 15-month-old son, so juggling all three is kind of a
Yeah.
challenge.
Baby
People-
steps.
People say, "Oh, you need to quit." I don't need to quit yet. Sorry. Eventually, I'm gonna need that leap, right?
Right.
But I have a strong sales team. I delegate. I contract out. But yeah, I just work much later, and I work a lot harder, and it's not been easy at times. Mental health has gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I just grew at my own pace. And so, again, working with a broker that's not pressuring you to grow as fast, not having investor money that is, VC per se,
Right.
pushing you to grow as fast as, I kind of put the boundaries down. And if, obviously a very infancy stage, but if people were believing the product, I had my terms. And so it's been a win-win for everyone so far.
So how did you connect? Not because you're in the room, not because I'm going to give you a plug, but it's really tough for a small brand to get a national broker.
So I did.
It's hard enough to get a regional broker, right? National brokers typically are talking retainers because you guys don't. I'm looking at Kyle. Like, you guys don't need to be running around the country trying to, in essence, do the marketing, do the play. Like, you got a lot of. If the brand's small, they don't have the money necessarily. It's a tough gig, right? I mean, it's not. Buyers aren't just lining up saying, "Oh my God, sure, I'll take it." It's another new thing. You know, that's a tough gig to be in. I mean, so compliments to you guys for doing that, because that's not done as much as it used to be done. But how did you find them, and how did you get them excited about taking you on?
So back in March 2021, I launched. I was working in the commercial kitchen, and then I started doing D2C, selling at certain breweries, and at those breweries we had we were selling fashion covered bridge, and so I showed results after 8 months,
Right.
and then I met Kyle's. I reached out in September 2021, and then Kyle's like, "Wow, these are incredible results." And I said, let me see how this product does first before I go approach anyone, right? So I did about 8 months of a trial, like market fit, and I did. I mean, I had a Hollywood actor reach out and like, "Hey, I'll do a free partnership with you." Like random shit like that was happening.
Really?
Yeah, actually, we're planning to do it in after Tip is done. He's in Toronto. So I had random things happen, and just putting myself out there. Really, it was just like that. And then company care packages, real estate brokerage firms ordering it. So I had all these results, and then I was telling Kyle, and I think Kyle is future looking in terms of, we got along, but he's like, I think this has potential. And I told him I need a strong broker, like a sales team to help me. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything.
Right.
I just know how to make my product at the commercial kitchen level. But yeah, and then fast forward January, we came to an agreement, and the rest is history.
Wow.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, to actually know what you don't know is wise beyond your years, because
Are you
there's
kidding me? I don't know anything.
some other people in the room will tell us we have a lot of people that are a lot older and still haven't figured out what they don't know and assume that they know more than they actually do. So good on you. That's huge.
I mean,
That's
I'm
huge.
a realist. I'm also
Good, man.
putting that time and energy and money, and it's I'm not going to say I know anything.
It's a tough gig, right?
Yeah, but I honestly may sound like I have no ego. I will say I don't know what I know.
That's good, man.
But I'll be firm with my decisions and what
Yeah.
I research
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
data. Kind of.
You should just keep making it.
Yeah,
'Cause I got
love
it covered full
yeah.
of it, and I like it.
It's highly addictive.
I know. I
But it's
appreciate you
really
guys. You guys
tasty.
have been, supporters.
Yeah, it's really tasty.
You're huge.
We're going to be on Sunday. We have a guy outside. It's a sampling station, so he'll be giving out 1,000 bags. So
Wow.
anyone walking into the Intercare Center on Sunday,
Okay.
you'll see someone there before
Okay.
it runs out. And then if he runs out, just come by my booth and give you some bags.
Good for you.
Awesome.
Good for
Dude,
you.
we're glad
man.
you came back up here.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate it.
super happy to have you. Good. I'm happy you're doing well too. That's pretty cool. Wow,
Yeah.
exactly. Keep plugging. Just keep plugging. Yeah.
Man.
Anybody else want to come up and chat? Let us know what you do, why you do what you do.
Kelly, you want to come up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly's actually running the next podcast after us. But it'd be cool.
With Midday Squares.
Oh,
No,
which one?
it's gonna
Which one of
be-
them do you have on?
All three are
all
coming.
All
of them.
three?
Yeah.
So I hope everybody can stay.
Oh my God, that's way too much energy.
Yeah, this is going to be a full
Way
house.
Way
here.
too much
I'm just
energy.
going to sit back and be like, okay, you guys just talk
Yeah.
for an hour.
Just plug Jake in.
Yes.
Not that that takes much.
And be like,
and just
go.
let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be right. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, super stoked about it.
So how long have you been doing what you're doing? Or what do you do actually? Start from there. Who are you? What do you do?
You guys have a while. So I
We've got
actually,
time, but we've got a podcast behind us that probably won't care. So
I started my career as an experiential marketer working for Vega. So I spent
cool.
about 5 years working for Vega, loved the brand. I was like the brand evangelist. I drove the branded Vega car. I was screaming their brand from the rooftops. I traveled around to every major retailer and set up pop-up shops. And these were pretty new at the time, 10 years ago. So we brought pop-up shops to any store that would have us. And I stood there blending smoothies, running a demo team, and every single person that walked into the grocery store, I'd say, have you tried Vega before? And I just became known as the Vega Girl.
That's
and
awesome.
from there, I went on to work for a couple other major health food companies here in Canada. And then I kind of got the entrepreneurial bug to do my own thing. So I ended up going freelance and doing consulting for a lot of health food brands. And I started a podcast where I interview Canadian entrepreneurs, a lot of them in the health space.
Oh, very cool. How long
Yeah.
have you been doing the podcast?
4.5 years.
Oh,
We're
just a
doing
little
season
bit,
10 right now. So yeah, you guys have a few months extra.
Yeah, I would say
on me,
literally.
I
I
think.
think we're 5 years in.
But I think
November.
we're podcasting OGs, all of us.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty
Wow.
early to the game. So
Well, if we'd waited for me, we still wouldn't have had a podcast. So yeah, it was him. I don't know how to. I don't even know. I don't even know
you
what
just
to
show
do.
up and talk, right?
That's pretty much it. And
No,
then I
no,
just
but
leave
listen, that's
because I don't
half
get
of
it,
it,
right?
right?
I don't know what to do here. I have no interest in figuring out how to do
that's
this.
half of it. Though.
I like the talking
It's just
part.
the talking.
Yeah, the talking's fun.
Yeah, I enjoy
the
that.
editing,
I don't
the
do that.
volumes.
No, I
I'm
don't
like,
do that.
I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
No, no. And the only reason I have equipment, my kids wanted to do a podcast. And since
Cool.
I bought all the equipment, I'm sure
Kids these days,
I may as well use the
recording
equipment.
podcasts.
That's it, though.
There's so many things you don't know though, right? Because even when we were setting up, the guy was like, "Oh, you have the setting." I'm like, "I don't know why that."
Yeah.
I click the button and it works there, so I leave it there. And he was
Mhm.
like, "What?" I was like, "I don't." There's only so many things I can learn, right? So
Yeah, I like to be a podcast host, not an audio engineer, is what I've realized.
Yeah.
But you got to do it all sometimes, and so you got to be willing to
Yeah.
learn.
So how'd you end up podcasting? Would you like one day you just woke up and you decided what you wanted to do? a
Well,
podcast?
I'll tell you a funny story. So I was walking around downtown Toronto with a friend of mine, and she's a dreamer too. She's also a visionary, and I was saying, I really either want to start a podcast or a YouTube channel. And she looked at me and said, I think you should do a podcast. As if like I couldn't handle video. I'm like, what? Like, do I
What?
not have a face for video? Anyway, she was very adamant that podcasting is where you should start, Kelsey. So I was like, okay, I guess I won't do a YouTube channel. So I just said, okay, fine. I'm going to put the bones of a podcast together. And I started reaching out to Canadian entrepreneurs saying, can I interview you? I don't really have a background in journalism, but I have this intense curiosity of how people, either build businesses or get to where they are today or, navigate challenges. So I started booking hour-long interviews with people. And at the end, they would just say, wow, you're really curious. That was a great interview. And I just kind of kept refining the craft. And so, I really just got started out of my own personal desire to add content to the space. I loved listening to podcasts, but I never quite heard anything that really hit home exactly the key messages that I wanted to hear as a budding entrepreneur and as someone who really wanted more behind the scenes. Like, talk to me real, unscripted. I want to know the things that are not the traditional interview questions.
I love
So-
it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because it's very similar to what we do.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we just like the story. I just like to know.
Exactly.
Like, it's usually why. Like, why did you? I mean, for a long time, why is usually the first question. Because like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why do you choose retail? Because it's a slug, and CPG is another level of wow. Okay, really?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other things you could do that are a hell of a lot easier than this.
Mhm.
But I just love to hear why they did it. Like, what motivated them. Like, we have had so many people on that have even changed careers. Like, they were, I don't know, in finance or something. And next thing you know, they're selling potato chips. Or people, wow, like why?
We had guests that gave up what they were doing to become grocery retailers, and those were like,
Yeah,
"No, you need to walk us through. We don't get that at all."
that one I don't
Like,
understand
what-
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
I mean, I
like
came from-
losing
I
money
get- I
every
mean,
day? Like,
why?
what's the?
But yeah, the stories are so compelling, right? Because it's interesting
Yeah.
to see what
Yeah.
drives people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
it's
there wasn't much in our space, to your point. There's not a lot
Yeah.
that talk to really small business. I mean, they all talk to Coke and the Pepsis, and
Yeah.
or they talk to the $1 billion sale, and that's it's great, but that's 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Most are lucky to get through the first year.
Yeah.
How did you stick to it, even in the early days when you were barely getting any downloads? Like, what drove you guys to want to continue to produce a weekly show when you might have only had 20 or 50 or 100 people downloading?
I think it just gave us a reason to talk to each other.
I, you know,
kinda liked our
honestly, we
company,
just
that
like
was it.
talking to each other. Yeah.
Love
So a
it.
lot
So
of
you would
times
do
we
it
did
even
it.
if there was
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
listening,
yeah.
right? Because you're just catching up.
Well, I think there was a lot of time where there was nobody listening, so we were definitely doing it for nobody listening. I'm sure that there was nobody listening.
Yep.
Maybe Linda Webb.
Yeah.
We had one
Our
person who
original
always listened.
follower.
But otherwise, I just think a lot. Honestly, what it was a week of catch up.
Yeah.
Because we're the same thing. We today was about as close to scripted. Because I don't know what it was. I was freaking out because I told him, I said, "Hey, what are we going to talk about? Like we have no idea today. I'm thinking we've got to have something down." So I'm taking notes this morning and we're going through it. I'm like, I don't know, because usually we just we let you go. Like whoever's on, just talk.
Yeah.
And where it
Yeah.
goes, it goes.
Yeah.
Just try to remember that, we're not going to edit you out, so be careful what you say. But outside of that, it's just, I don't know.
Well, it's fun because this is just like free flowing conversation, and there's probably going to be some really juicy nuggets that we couldn't have scripted into this.
Oh, 100%.
Well, we hope.
We hope.
We hope.
Or you make people laugh. Like I was telling Phil before, I was listening to your guys' podcast with the founder of an ice cream company.
Yeah.
And I was on the streetcar this morning laughing out loud.
Oh,
and the
seriously?
fact
Thank
that
you.
you have just sat down, recorded something where I am like physically like shaking of laughter
Oh,
because
that's
you guys are
awesome.
talking about like
That's awesome.
the dumplings you used to make with your parents in the kitchen. Anyways, I just think
Oh, that's very
it's
sweet.
such
Thank
a
you.
really cool craft to be able to record conversations and allow people to tune in if it
Yeah.
interests them. Because
Yeah.
these are the conversations that 5 years ago, I wish that I was having these with my friends, but I
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of friends who were interested in growth and
Yeah.
pursuing betterment every day and being okay with making transitions and pivots in our lives, like changing careers. Like I was the outsider for making such a pivot. Why would you leave a steady corporate job?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
and nobody quite understood. So to tap into others who also, can just explore what's possible in this lifetime is kind of cool.
I think that's what's the fun part is I like the fact that you can hear what other people, it does it makes it a little less freaky.
Yeah.
Right? To know that you're not the only one who's making decisions that are kind of
Yep. You feel less alone,
out there.
right?
Right?
And even, I don't live in Toronto anymore, so I'm on the streetcar and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, it's kind of been lonely the past few days, but I also love connecting here. But
Yeah.
I had you guys in my ear, making me
That's
feel
so
less
funny.
alone in a
That's
moment
funny,
when I was
dude.
on a streetcar for 45 minutes. So
Wow,
podcasting's
that's really nice.
amazing.
It is. The early days are humbling though, right? Like you get 5 downloads, 8
Yeah.
downloads. 3 of them are you.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
even
different
worse.
IDs,
Right.
Well, I grabbed I remember I grabbed my mom and dad's phone and I'm like, do you guys have the podcast app? Because
Yeah.
I need a few subscribers. I'm
Yeah.
like, subscribe.
Yeah.
4 years later, I'm like, have you ever listened to an episode? And they're like, of what? I'm like,
Yeah.
come on.
My mother-in-law says that every week. She goes, I saw you were talking to somebody. I'm like, yeah, because it's a podcast. I talk to somebody every week. And she's like, yeah, you were talking to somebody new. I'm like, yeah, because we talk to somebody
Every
new.
week.
You know what?
There's
It's
a
okay.
new one.
Don't worry about it. Just leave it, subscribe. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. But it's, no, it's cool. It's been a really fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like the fact you get to share some stories. Right? Because when I was at London, I used to do like a lot of stuff I did with Sasha with brands. I used to do that as our job, right? Because I liked brands. And I liked when people came in and would tell their story. And there was a lot of times, and we said it before on the podcast, like you'd hear the story and you're thinking, like, you really shouldn't do this. Right? Your idea is really neat. And I know you're super excited, but you are going to lose your house because it's not going to work. And you try to give people the reasons why. So even when we started this, was a lot of it. I told them, I said, what's nice is if we can give back, because I've made enough mistakes and lost enough money, that you just kind of go back and say, listen, you can do whatever you want. But from experience, like personal experience, this is what's potentially going to happen if you go down this path. It could be different for you. Nothing repeats twice necessarily. But that's what I think is kind of cool about this, is the fact you can learn something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did not pursue school after I did a diploma, but after that, it was really YouTube University, Podcast University, and then just like sitting down with people like yourselves and really just like getting my questions answered from people who I respected. Right. So although I didn't pursue a lot of formal education, I felt like I learned and am continuing to with all of these incredible social media outlets that we have and content marketing. Like there's an answer to everything if you use Spotify as a search engine or if you use Google as your search engine or YouTube or even Instagram these days. People are sharing every secret you could possibly want to know about how to build a food and bev brand, it's on LinkedIn. Like you just got to go
Somewhere out there, someone's willing to talk to.
And if you find that you're not getting an answer, you just got to ask somebody,
Right.
who do you know that could answer this question for me? And someone will always make a referral for you. So yeah, it's incredible how we can self-educate these days, and truly learn a lot.
And you'll find
for
different
free.
industries do it better.
Yeah.
Like this space is actually really good.
It's
Like,
so
I come from the
good.
conventional side too. They ain't so good.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't
No,
like, first, they
no.
don't like talking to
Very
each
There's
other.
still like lips
Oh,
and
yeah.
sealed.
There's no,
Yeah.
like
Trade
even
secrets
walking
a little
shows.
bit,
Like West Coast was a little different. We walked shows like when I was in London. Like if we bumped into the Save On guys or nobody cared, right? We'd all be in the bar together.
Totally.
no trades, nothing we're going to tell each other is going to bankrupt the other company.
Yes.
But as soon as you got to the East Coast guys, or
No,
Eastern
really
people,
tight.
nobody
Yeah,
talked.
yeah, yeah.
You didn't walk with the shoppers guys. You didn't
Yeah.
walk with the
No.
Rex. Like nobody talked to each other.
Yeah.
But the natural health guys, it was just a shit show. Everybody's hugging everybody. Everybody's telling. And you're thinking, wow, you guys tell each other a lot.
It's amazing.
Like your competitors, direct competitors, and they still tell each other their little.
They
I
know
love
there's
it.
enough
It's
to go
awesome.
around,
There's so
right?
much business out there, right?
Very generous. And it's funny you say that too, because I found that over the last 5 years, the podcasting world has actually kind of been the opposite, where people, they don't want to tell their download numbers, and they don't want to tell how much they're charging a show sponsor, and they don't want
Right.
to say, how many subscribers they have. And I'm like, why is it so secretive to figure out like all these nuances to running a successful podcast? But I think it is getting better. But yeah, you're right. It's beautiful to have this culture of collaboration where people are like, I'll tell you my best kept secrets, because I know that even if you implement them, it's not going to go the same for you, because you have your magic, you have your magic. So it worked for you, but you tell me it's not going to work for me, because I need to put my own spin.
Well, you'll process it a different way than what I did.
Yeah.
And, you might fall into a new trap that I never saw or never fell into, or you might just sail through it without a scratch.
Exactly.
Right? It
Yeah.
really
So,
depends, right?
I don't really believe in keeping secrets so
Nah,
much
it's
around
always
success. It's
too
just
much
like,
work.
it is too much work.
It's just too
and-
tiring.
Yeah,
And
karma's
plus
got to come around, right? You give someone
Exactly.
something and it comes back to you.
Plus, I never remember what I've told people anyway, so it's better just.
I don't want to know about, a California brand and their market. I want when you guys bring on, people from Canadian distributors,
Right.
Canadian entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
Canadian brokers.
Mhm.
Like, this is the Canadian market. I want to learn about that. So I don't care about that. I mean,
I know what you're saying.
Other stuff, but
Yeah.
I get most of my nuggets and I learn about more of the issues and opportunities from people that you guys are.
Right.
Yep.
Well, one thing you'll learn the longer you're in the business, in the longer in the industry, there's two different countries. Like, there are different countries. What you can do in Canada, you cannot do in the States, and vice versa. Like, first thing when a lot of Americans come up, they do not grasp that we have 6 cities spread out over 4,000 miles. You've got Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa. I'm not to exclude there's nothing left. There's no size. You go to California, you got Canada. And you can put 3 Californias in BC. So you can't come to Canada with that mentality, right? So that's why it's very hard for us to bring American people in to talk about a Canadian market is really tough. What you should listen to sometimes is, what they've done maybe in Los Angeles might translate well to what you could do in the GTA.
Yeah.
Because even though the GTA is half the size, it's sort of that same mentality. But we do different things. Our listing fee structures are different. Our co-op's different. Our terms are different. We do a lot of direct business where the States is highly distributed. Like, there's layers in this. I don't know. I never understood that. Like, we have less layers than they do, and yet we have greater distance. Like, you think it'd be the reverse, and yet the States runs on a whole different model. Like, brokers and distributors are everywhere. And here, we can go direct with an account, right? And sometimes it's more advantageous than going the other route, potentially, right? But it's just different.
It's also, quite simply, we've got a market that's just got amazing brands in it, amazing entrepreneurs. Like, look at how many new brands are out. Like, even from west to east, like, the brands that are out there, and they're all Canadian.
You make
right?
it in
Like,
our
it's
country,
amazing,
man, you can do things anywhere. Because logistically, we're
Yeah, it's hard.
really, really large in
anything
space.
easy,
2 languages on a package, right? Americans don't realize you figure that part out. You try throwing 2 languages and try to make them equal. We're in the States. Well, if you had vitamin bottles or small stuff, like, exactly. You need. Where are you going to put the booklet? That's just to get the ingredient deck out. Like, then you got nutritional panels that are half the size of a package. In the States, you can just it's a different game. So if you can do it up here, I mean, I think realistically, as long as you understand the nuances of the country you're going to, you can do it anywhere. Like, Canadians are really, really, when you're good up here, like, you're good. Like, I think you are, for sure. And we are a different game. Our retail is a whole different beast than it is in the States. So you should listen, but I'm like you. I try to pick and choose, like, because, some of it, like, I don't really care what Pepsi's doing. I don't really care what Coke's doing. Yay team, but really? I'm more interested to see what you're going to do next. Right?
But Coke would be the future exit strategy.
Potentially. Yeah, 100%. Potentially.
Because they're looking for stuff like
Yeah.
this. Because they don't have that infrastructure.
Right.
They know this thing's
They're not
gonna be
innovators.
5 years, 10 years. We're at the forefront of it.
For sure.
And they know that if they don't do
For sure.
something, the non-functional beverages, functional beverages, etc., they are buyers of your business.
Uh,
You're
they're-
in so much trouble. You're in so
I know.
much trouble. We're just laughing because the
You wanna
Good
bring
Day
'em up?
Squares guys.
Oh, you can
are
bring
like,
them in. I don't care.
They're
What the hell?
peeking through the windows. They're already
but you're right.
waving and jumping up and down.
The things I worry about, or things like we've talked about too, is I think what people got to be careful with, especially small, is you go into this because you actually like what you're doing. You like your snack, and you want other people to enjoy your snack. That is a much different approach to going into business than I'm going to get this, and I'm going to do a Charles, and I'm going to get $600 million for my business. That's two different mentalities. And one is really difficult to do. There's not a lot of Charles Changs or Mike Fata who's outside. There's not a lot of small business. I mean, you hear about them, but they
that's
are
not-
literally
but that's
one
not
in a
where he
million
started.
tops, right?
But that's also not where he started, right? Like,
No,
he didn't-
because
he didn't
Charles
get
and
into
Brandon
this
started.
going-
Well, one started
Yeah.
because he was running the marathons and
Right.
wanted to use a
But
vegetable base.
it's different,
100%.
right? Like when you get there to
100%.
the end, and
That's
then
a
you
different
have
play.
someone who shows up and goes, "Listen, I've got a really big bank account. I'd like to buy it." It's a
That's
totally
fine.
different story, but you do get founders now that get seduced by that, right? Like
That's why they go
get
into
into it going, "Oh, I'm gonna get," you.
I got
You
a
can't,
100 million.
right? Like,
I should be able to get at least 50.
The minute that you
Sure.
walk away from the passion and you're just
Yeah.
making it, it's just a product, right? Like, yeah, it's just not. It's not
It doesn't
the right
work.
thing, right? You
It
gotta
just-
chase what you love, and then at the end, what you love, it's gonna pay out one way or another, right? Like,
Now, unless you can tell me how you're retiring on this, because then I definitely want to know how you're doing it.
Retiring on podcasting?
Yeah, because I want to
yeah.
know that part.
Yeah.
Now accepting sponsors.
Oh, how come we don't do that?
I'm telling
no,
you
she
guys.
just told
you-
our listeners that we're accepting sponsors.
Oh, yeah, and
Yes.
we're accepting sponsors. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah. Just do. How about $500 for 1 month of ad reads? So you do a 60-second ad read for a particular brand, and you do it pre-roll, so it airs before you get into your conversation, or mid-roll. And hey, if that's a well-crafted ad, you're going to get a lot of click-throughs from the show notes. You're going to put them in your show notes, so there's going to be backlinks to that brand's website. You're going to shout them out on your email newsletter. For $500, that is a steal for any brand. And then, as you get more sponsors requesting to be part of the show, double the prices.
Was that free or are we paying for that?
Yeah,
Do we need to pay you for
Did
that?
we just
ad?
pay for that or was that a freebie?
You know what? I'm going to help you guys get your first sponsor. I have the whole deck created. I know what packages
Kelsey, you
sell
rock.
really well, and there's
Wow.
no reason why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
We
put
love it.
so
I
much
can't take
time
this
and
money,
energy
though.
into this show.
Yeah, not now. I can't take your money now. That's not nice.
No, do it. Do it.
Nobody's still trying. I feel bad.
Don't feel bad.
We'll take Kyle's money.
Again, you guys put a lot of effort into this.
Okay, if you work that out, if you get him to pay out, you can be our sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny though,
Yeah.
when we started the podcast, it was more, honestly, I think the first and foremost because every week we get to talk to each other. So that sort of started it. And we really like this industry. Like I really love retail.
Yeah,
I love
love it.
CPG.
Love it.
I can't
Yeah.
seem to get out of it as, I'm back into it on another level. But I like the space. But we never really thought of making this into, I guess ultimately we were probably thinking there's a monetary play somehow, but it wasn't like the driver to do this. I guess if we made some, but 5 years in, we still haven't, we're really not that bright. That's really what it seems to be coming
You're not
down
seeing
to.
your full potential of what this podcast could
What's wrong
become.
here? Like seriously.
No, I'm going to follow Kelsey on this. I like it.
I like
Yeah,
it.
and you've proven yourself. It's not like you got into this for the
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
but now that you've been doing it for
Yeah.
5 years, I think you've built up enough clout and enough street cred that there are brands that want to be part of your show. So invite them. Or you've probably had at least one or two people reach out saying,
Yeah.
like, do you accept
Yeah.
sponsors? But
We have.
the
Yeah,
way
we've
I've
kind
got
of always backed away and thought, I don't know, like what does that mean?
Yeah.
But the intent was to do that. I guess that's like, that's sort of what the point is, Kyle. I guess when we started this, it wasn't to do it as a pay by hour service. Yes, I consult on that's my livelihood, and that's his too. So definitively, I do that. But it was really because when I came, like when I was a buyer, I had the opportunity to potentially help or really and truly destroy small companies, right? Yeah. Because we were retail. We had listing fees, we had co-op. Like I knew all the pitfalls that Sasha would come to me, and he'd be all excited walking out with the PO, sort of like to the Walmart idea of the PO, but nobody did the math. I did my math. I knew what I was going to be good for, but I knew the person on the other side did not do the math and did not know what they were getting themselves into, which was really, a pit of. It's a deep pit. Like retailers are retailers. I mean, it's an expensive gig. Right, so for us, it was never about that. It was to try to help do that. But I guess, to Kelsey's point, maybe there's a time.
That's very kind of you. Yeah.
I know it still seems funny to do.
You guys are amazing. You're now talking us into helping us make money. Yeah.
My wife might actually finally listen to this podcast because it'll be bringing something into the house.
Put it this way, it's actually a disservice for you not to run ads, because when I listen to podcasts,
it's an obligation.
I listen to the host, and I want to know, what mattress are you sleeping on? What's your skincare? What new food brands are you up on? So if I listen to your show and you're interviewing,
know what skincare we're using?
Yes, I do.
That's a short podcast.
I want you to vet your favorite brands that you've ever interviewed, and when I listen to any of your shows, I want you to read an ad saying, "Have you guys tried, Midday Squares or this popcorn company? We are obsessed with them. Their founders are so great. Next time you see them, go try their
but we do
chocolate.
That. We just don't charge for it,
which is amazing. I love how big your heart is. But
I know you're right. You're right. No, you are. It's just, but we can do our own ads, right? I don't have to do a scripted ad.
No, and
I want to be like Bill Burr. I want to just do maybe not that offensively, but I want to do my own.
Yeah, And most companies these days, they don't want you to read off a script. They just want you to hit on 3 key bullet points. Like make sure you say there's 30 grams of plant-based protein. Tell a story around it. We don't care, but you have to say 30 grams of plant-based protein.
3 little notes I can do.
I'm 3 little notes. That's it.
It's not going to happen.
There you go. You guys are influencers.
How much stuff we buy? We do the same thing.
I love it.
Like seriously, I get off the pot. Well, he's usually not paying attention. He's usually on a web page ordering. No, I can't do 2 things at once. So I have to
35 minutes in then I'm on the website ordering.
Like I can't do that because then I get distracted, right? Because then I'll be, I just go down who knows where I end up, right? So it's going to be a mess. So I can't do that. But later I'm buying. I bring so much stuff into the house.
Yeah.
And a lot of times just because the story's cool.
It's cool.
And then you want to support it because they're just starting out. You think, okay, sure, what the hell.
Totally. I'm the same way. But I like getting recommendations too, and I believe you should be compensated for those recommendations.
We love you, Kelsey.
We're loving you.
Just
love you,
we love
you guys up.
Jeez, we need help apparently too.
Call me.
We're all over it.
We're going to end here because your folks are going to lose their minds outside. So we're going to end here. Thanks for
sticking around.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
Talk to our agent.
Yeah, just talk to the boss, whatever she thinks is right. We'll do. It's either that or that was comped like the rest of them and whatever.
Awesome.
I'll get off that train one of these days.
Awesome.
One of these
Thanks,
days.
guys.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was,
absolutely. Thanks for having me up.
Wow.
Does this get broadcasted live or you edit it and then do it later?
Yeah, it'll come out